Okay, I've got the sill plates on the greenhouse. When I measure corner to corner on the cement, it's square. But now that I have the sill plates on following the same, it says it's off. So, I don't know. I don't know why sill plates always give me a problem in that house. That was my first set of sill plates by myself, and I could not get them. But it ended up fine. The roof is square, everything's square. Anyway, so it's 13 outside to outside. It's 13 by 21 and an inch, I think. Okay, I've got all my second layer on with gaps around those bolts all the way around. So now I can start framing walls. All right, after another rainy morning, I'm back at it. Last night we raised this wall up, and it's 10 feet, and I was gonna slope to 7 to try and put a 3-foot drop on it, shed snow off. But it was really high, so I chopped it down just now. So with 2 top plates, it'll be 9 feet from. Okay, first wall up. This will be the 9-foot right side, and I think we'll slope down to 6 feet on this side. I just need to be able to fit a door in there somehow. So, worried if that's gonna be sturdy enough in the winds. I might throw a top plate on or something. Oh, there's a board out. Must not have got nailed. Missed it. All right, we got her all braced up, and the storm's here. I can feel the moisture in the air. Dadgummit, I was on a roll. We got the second wall up with our doorway. So it's coming along. I think I might go do the end wall now. My rainstorm blew over late afternoon, so. All right, we've got the 3 walls up. Here's the back window. I bought a window and a screen door at a antique shop quite some time ago, last summer. And I just got to build this wall, and then throw the rafters and fill in the walls on the ends. So it's a nice foggy day. Coming out, check on the wood. Got a lot of frost. Ice. Things I'm trying to do is I'm going to use these as purlins on the roof. You've got the rafters coming across, and then these purlins will run this way so I can lay the paneling on them, just like I did out here in the shed. So I've got a whole stack I still need to stain over there. So I'm going to run those purlins. But I decided, at the advice of a friend who built the greenhouse, to run them around the outside every 2 feet as well. So the purlins are these. If you can see. You've got your rafters running this way, and then the purlins run on top. And that gives you something to screw the paneling down into. I did 2x4 purlins up there, but I'm gonna do these 1x4s. So I'll have my rafters, and then the purlins running this way, those 1x4 purlins, and then I'll lay my panels on and screw them down into it. On the outside, I'm gonna wrap purlins every 2 feet so I can screw my panels onto them. I'll probably run strips on the corners in between the two purlin, in between the purlin rows every 2 feet, just so they have a nice firm edge to them. All right, got the back wall up, looking good. Everything's braced, so looks good. I also threw some bracing down underneath there for that window. Not a load-bearing top, so I just threw a spacer in there. I'll probably set the windows wood framed. I'll probably just set it in there and slide it to the outside. It won't stop snowing and raining, so I moved all my wood inside. But I need a place to stack them out of the rain and snow, and so I learned this trick on those Perkins Brothers builders site. I'm gonna build these guys, and then, you know, I'll screw those in, and then I can set them. These will be my racks. So I just decided to put a 1x4 piece in there with 3-inch screws, and that'll create a nice stack space, so I can put 2x4s in there, 2x4 depth pieces in there, and just stack these. And all this lumber I cut up was just junky stuff that I didn't want to use for my greenhouse anyway. Had so many problems with it, so hopefully this will be a good use of it. All right, we got them built. I think we have 7 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 14 total. Give me 7 stacks, and I can put, I think let's see, 1, I think I can put 6 2x6s across each level. So I should be able to get everything in there. 2x4s, quite a few more, or a few more on each one, and 1x4s, same thing. So that'll give me a good stacking system. I'm glad I took an hour to do that. Out of scrap lumber. Let's get started staining. So these are working out great. I got 6 across the bottom. I just started my 2nd layer. So that'll be good to have those. So here's our stack of boards. I've already pulled a few out of there. That's why there's some missing. But I was able to take all this wood, stain it, and stack it right here. And these things are really slick. And I just threw some air on them. Keep air circulating so they'll dry a little faster. Gotta drop. All right, I've got some more progress on it. I put purlins on. I did them every 3 feet. I gotta do one more row up there once I put the 2nd top plate on. And we started down this side with 1. Put the 2nd top plate on all the way around these 3 sides. And started purlins on this side. And this we're running, leaving a 1-inch gap, not for any reason. I'll let the plastic hang over that. I think I'm gonna run purlin strips up so that my corners have a solid brace there. And I'm not sure what to do about water getting in there. I don't know if I should flash it and then do the purlins, which is what I might do, which is buy some metal flashing. I think I had a whole bunch left over from the build. And okay, I got all the purlins wrapped. I didn't put this back one on until I get the rafters because there's an angle and I want to pin it up against the rafters. And I put the top plate on that 2nd, that high piece there. I've got a slight little curve in it this way and a slight little curve in the long wall that way. I think I'm just gonna cinch them together with that 16 board and pull the little slight curve out of the middle on each. Or I'll just leave it because it's a greenhouse and it doesn't really matter too much. No one will ever see it except me. So I'm hoping that this wood holds up. I stained all these, and so it's an oil-based stain. You can see the water just runs right off there. Not that these will get wet, but just protected over time from the sun. So all the wood has been stained with that oil-based Minwax stain. But I've never done that and then used it outside before, so you can see the purlins here. So I think I'm ready to get my first rafter going and tie it all together. All right, so we've got a couple rafters going. What I did is I just take the rafter and put it on the end, and you can barely screw it in. And I knew I wanted 1 foot overhang, so I marked it, and then I screwed it in so that it just cleared on the end of this. And then I just traced on the back, and I did the same thing over here. And I cut that and set it up into place where this one is, and it fit just right. And so then I used that as the template to mark these 3. And so far it's snugging in just right. This one had a little bit of a gap, but I made it bigger on the first cut just because I thought I needed some flex there. And so I just have that, what do they call that? A bird's mouth cut. So, and then I have the same thing up there, just a little tiny bird's mouth, but it sits flat. And then I'm just putting a screw through to hold it, and then I'll come back in and do hurricane ties to really pin it down on the inside. And there's those little bird's mouths. Okay, I've got the rafters on. I kind of wish I'd overhung it more than, that's 10.5, and then with the fascia on it, fascia board, it'll be 12 inches out to the edge. And then I was gonna cut the back down to 12. I think it's like 18 or something. I might just leave that as a longer overhang because it looks kind of cool. But we'll see. I need to stem out and then do one more on each side so that has a 1 foot overhang on this side as well. But it looks good. All the bird's mouth cuts ended up just perfect. And I think in the process we pulled the slight curve out of this wall by pushing in tight against those bird's mouth cuts. So it was very slight anyway. Sweet. So I'm gonna throw these guys in with the hurricane ties. Oh, I meant to grab a step ladder, dang it. And I primered all these so they're a duller gray instead of metallic. And I'll just put one on each one there. And I bought a different type of bracket for the ends. So we chalk lined and measured off the top, 16, took off 1.5 inches for the fascia board, and we chalk lined, snapped it, and now we're just slicing these back. Okay, so those are up, and I can put a rafter in there and screw it in and drop my braces, or put the braces up first, and I marked every 2 feet. Okay, we threw up the rafter hangovers here. put 2-foot spacers. We ran short a couple. Oh, I miscounted. We did it on the far side too. And then we ran this first purlin down the middle and measured to space out the rafters just right. Did it while my brother Dave was here so that we could, I'd have all those extra hands, and now from here on out I should be able to just do a lot of it myself, or finish up myself. I did most of it myself to begin with. There we go, looks good. Okay, I got the last 2 blocks in. I just need to run my rest of my purlin rows and then I can install the roof. But I might have to wait a week because I'm going turkey hunting for a week. So. All right, back from turkey hunting and back to building the greenhouse. So I took these and these 1x4s and I ripped them 1.5 inches each wide right down the middle, and I'm just staining that in. And I'll go up, and I did some full 1x4. I think I did 4 rows of that, and then in between the 4 rows I'm gonna do rows of these 1 inch wide. So I think that'll just brace the roof just fine. All right, I got those purlins up. So I've got a full length or a full width 1x4 on each end, and then every other one of these is a full. And I believe I broke it here at 8 feet so I can take a 4-footer and an 8-footer and overlap them. Or down here, I can't remember. And then I split those purlins and in half, just ran them on the table saw, and so those are halves there. So there's no more, it's less than 2 feet, it's more like 20 inches, maybe even 18, and then 2 feet wide. So I think that with the snow load on there, that thick sun tough plastic will be fine, and it should shed off pretty good. Now I'm going around and throwing these on, the hurricane ties around everywhere, and then sending these big GRK fasteners down through here, just so, and then I'm gonna use some other fasteners to pin this completely down through all 3 layers there. So then this thing will be all just kind of anchored down, and with those bolts there to the foundation, it should be all really locked tight. And then I've got a frame in here. Then we'll start wrapping this in plastic. Windy, so hopefully you can hear me, but you can see I'm building out these corners just with some 1x4. So, because I had these purlins going across, and when I set the plastic panels, screwing them into the purlins, I wanted the corners to have a solid closure, so I'm just screwing these in to build out the corners so they'll be flush. And I'm going to do that around the doors. And then we got all of these big screws in. So all of these are anchored down now with a big 6-inch or whatever screw. And then we got all of these in, the hurricane ties. And it already feels way more stable. So structurally all tied together, so everything's tied to the cement now for the most part. So getting close to putting paneling up. So if I could go back now that I put all these purlins on, I think I would just not do the purlins on the outside, although that's what somebody recommended to me. Hopefully you can hear me, the wind's kind of blowing. And I would just, where I wanted purlins, I would just have put 2x4s in there I just thought that would get expensive, and I was gonna run them every 2 feet on the outside. But now that I've done all this and had to build out the corners and have to build around the windows, I should have just used the framing as my flush. And then just built out. I mean, instead of purlins all over this wall, I could have just done 2x4s right here across the center strip and been done. Kind of silly, but when you're building something on your own and it just kind of starts to unfold as you build it, sometimes you learn as you go. The silliness of building everything out 3/4 of an inch on every corner. But that's all done, so now I just need to do around the windows. All right, I filled in those. Oh, sorry. Just by taking scrap wood and I held it up behind here and just traced a line on it and marked. So I'm just above the studs, and then I just cut with my miter saw or compound saw, whatever you call it, and chop saw. Cut those, and I just slid them into place and screwed them in. And so that creates that wall there. And then I've got this purlin running across, so I'm gonna cut a purlin to run here across the top, and then I'll just run these panels all the way up. That's my thought. Gotta go put the other side in. It's funny when you're building this, I don't know, you rethink things constantly, like I suggested in my last video from yesterday afternoon. Like, I wouldn't do these purlins on the outside, but then maybe when I put the panels up, I'll be glad I have these on instead of just trying to anchor everything to the studs. And then I laid awake all night thinking, or in the middle of the night thinking, oh, what if this wood just starts to go do crazy stuff and I have to tear it all down? And I might, who knows, but hopefully it'll be wrapped in plastic. If not by the end of today, to tomorrow morning. It's supposed to rain all day tomorrow. And we'll get the metal around the edging. And then I think I might come back, because the plastic panels will meet here. I think I might come back and do a metal corner piece that'll order for each corner, which is what the Justin Call at Calls Lumber said he did on his. So we cut this purlin and ran it up to the top there. So now the 2 triangles here at the top are enclosed. I did the same thing on the other side. And I left a 1/2 inch gap, so if I want to close this with paneling, clear plastic or something, I can put that up and slide it in there. And I'll just run my wall panels up to right there. So I think we're ready to start paneling. Finally. Lots of screws, lots of wood. Okay, we've got one wall done. And it seems to be doing well. I'm wondering if the wind's gonna catch these seams here and just be like, and cause them to just buzz. Sometimes it does it with some of the metal on the roof. So I was gonna do Lexel up these seams, but I didn't want that to look janky. So anyway, I'm putting a lot of screws in. I've gone through almost 250 screws just in this wall. I only bought 500, so I'm gonna have to buy more screws. But I thought more screws the better. I wasn't thinking about it, but I'm coming through these purlins. So I've got all these sharp edges. I thought about putting a 2x4 in there, and I think I might come in and cover those in 2x4. Just pin them into the studs just so it covers that. Looks good. All right, we got the end and the roof still to do. So we did the short side. We keep getting rained on. And then on this end, I set the window in place and it rained all night and it just soaked into the frame. And I went and bought some flashing and J-channel to try and configure something, but I just can't figure out a way to keep water from just going in there constantly. So I just closed it up, put a brace in the middle. Not that I need it. That's not a load-bearing wall, but and then I'll decide what to do over time. If not this season, then next. So looks good, and as bad luck would have it, I have enough to finish this end. But as bad luck would have it, I miscalculated somehow. I don't know how, but I didn't calculate the roof. So just the walls was $1,000 in plastic, the sun tough. It's just crazy expensive. Okay, we snuck out here before the rain hits. I got this end wall up. And the last thing to do is the roof. I have to go buy all those panels, so I think it's another $600 worth of sun tough. But I sure hope this is worth it. It's been fun to build, but kind of a nightmare too. It's been 4 weeks, but it just keeps raining. Raining and raining. It's like May 20th or something like that. All right, I've got maybe almost half done. Because of the circumstances of what I had available to me, I wanted to get 10 and 8 and overlap them by 2 feet, and the seams would have set on my purlins, the double seams of the double overlap. And but all I could get was 12s and 10s. So I got 11 12 footers, and they're coming down 12 feet. But I had to put an extra purlin in here and here, because then I took my 10s that I had available and cut those in half at 5 feet. And so anyway, there's a seam here where the 5 footer comes up, and then a seam here where the 12 footer overlaps. So I had to put a couple extra purlins in. I just slid them in there and screwed them all in the way I did before. So it looks a little wonky on the layout, but I don't care. And then I'm throwing some Lexel. Oh, that almost fell on you. Throwing some Lexel, like real Lexel, because it's good for wet environments, because it just keeps raining and raining and raining for a month straight. And snowing. We're getting some snow up there. Finally got some sunshine, so we're out here trying to finish this off. Got about the last third to go. But it's kind of a pain trying to deal with constant rain. Getting close. Okay, the roof is done, and now we're gonna put up this metal I ordered. These are the side caps, but the problem is it has this dumb thing, so unless the corrugated paneling just happens to sit in there, on this side I planned it so it would, but on the far side I don't think it's gonna work. I think this is too long. But the drip edges for the top and the bottom will be good to go. And I'll have to figure out what I'm gonna do. All right, here we go. So we're putting this front drip. I can see right now it's not enough. This is too high, so I'm afraid this is gonna drip onto the wood and then just run back under the eaves and soak the wood. So I'll have to figure that out. But You get that side up. I'm afraid that side, the way it wraps over, it has to come over and drop right into a groove just perfect, but I don't think it's gonna work at that end. So I might have to go order some more of this and then just do this down that side, which is probably what I'll do. I'm probably going from now on, I'll just order this instead of that weird loop over. Because I just can't, I was a ½ inch away from having it perfect on that side. But there's no real way to factor it, at least for home builds like this. Beautiful day. Okay, we're slipping that drip edge at the bottom underneath there. We got that whole side up and then the whole top. That smokestack's on the house, not the greenhouse, although that would be sweet. Have a wood burning stove in there. I'm out of screws again. I think I've gone through 5 bags of 250, so there's 1,250 screws just to these rubber gasket roofing screws. Crazy. All right, I think I'm gonna make a video here so I can close this, and then I'll make one more after I put the door in and figure out how to get a fan going with a battery and a shelf in there and some other venting. It is significantly warmer in here than outside, but I'm leaving the eaves open for now. And then the rattling I'm hearing is that flap on the edge. I'd order one more piece of metal, so it'll be 10 days before that comes in. But I'm nervous about it getting too warm in here in July, but it's probably, I think it's 50 degrees outside, and you come in here and when the sun's fully out, right now it's a little bit behind the cloud, but it was probably 75, so it was like a 20 to 25 degree difference. So when it's 85 outside, I don't want it to be 110 in here. So I'll probably get a fan that's meant for a greenhouse with a solar panel sitting on the roof or something in the corner, and then wiring coming down and to a battery that I put on a shelf. I'll use that, and in a plastic case, and then I'll put some venting on that side, and then I probably will go back in and build windows that I can just take out once it gets warm enough in here. And but I need to figure out how to flash it above the window so that if I take it out and rain gets in here, it has flashing coming over it. And then same thing down here. I just don't want water constantly running back in on that wood. And then I had found this in the National Forest a long time ago. I've been hauling around all these years, so I sealed it with Thompson's water seal and then screwed it in there. So I think it looks good. You can see that metal edging on there. And then I just went and got more screws. I'll finish putting this up. And then I had to order a different kind of flashing for this edge. And that should come soon. Anyway, getting things going. My rhubarb's up. Strawberries are coming in strong that I planted at the end of last summer. And the raspberries are starting to come in. So everything's taking shape. I drew all this yard 2 years ago when we lived in that house. Then we built this house ourselves. And then I built the shed, and then anyway, I have it all. I found the plot drawn out and colored in from several years ago, and now it's all here. Cool.